speaking with Jamie Lonsdale about his new album. After this, Set Yourself Free. That was Set Yourself Free. It's from the album Footprints, from Jamie Lonsdale. Jamie, who was the former Oxfordshire landowner of Kingston Lisle House, a rambling 1,000-acre country estate. His ancestry goes all the way back to the third Lord Rowgan. He's had a bit of a change of career, and now, at the age of, should we say, 55 plus, has decided to embark on a career as an opera singer-songwriter, if you will. Delighted to be joining me live on the line from somewhere in the UK. Jamie Lonsdale. Jamie, good morning to you.
And good morning, Charles, and thank you so much for playing one of my tracks from my album Footprints.
Indeed.
Because I have to say, it's the first time that my music has been played on the radio.
So it's a world exclusive, then. We've got a world exclusive, Jamie.
It is, and I thank you.
Pleasure is all mine. Tell me a little bit. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was that with Mary Jess, who was the UK winner of the Chinese X Factor, I believe?
Yeah, that's right. Mary Jess won the Chinese version when she was studying in China, and she saw that there was a long queue, and she said, "What are they all queuing for?" And she joined the back of the queue when she heard it was a talent competition, and of course she rose up through all the rounds and came out as the national winner, which was a huge leap for her career, and then immediately signed by a record label. We've sung a lot together in concerts, and we thought it was about time that we collaborated and wrote a duet.
So this is your first album then, Jamie, presumably?
So I initially wrote some songs which I published myself in a very minor way. The difference is with Footprints, which came out a week ago, and I'm amazed to say that it is currently number 22 in the charts, and I never expected that. But Robert Amory, the great producer, orchestrator and conductor, very much challenged me to write more songs, and with his wonderful orchestrations, we came up with Footprints, which is effectively published by Arts Records. So yes, it's my first serious album.
But had you had because talk me through your career to date, because this is your first album, and I've said I won't give your age away because hey, but I mean presumably you had a career before this that wasn't involved in performing, or has performing always been something sort of on the back burner, Jamie?
Well, it's funny, Giles. When I was 6, I lived in Chelsea, and my neighbours took me to the theatre. My mother and father were in the recording business, and I think they tried to keep the children, the three of us, out of it. But occasionally they spoilt us and took us to the recording studio. So age 6, I was taken to a pantomime, and they asked, would one child come up and help them sing the song? And I can remember standing up and waving my arms frantically. And although they didn't choose me, that installed something in me about what I wanted to do.
So you were
a very strong desire.
You were bitten by the bug early on, So what were you doing what did you do before? I mean, were there concerts for friends? Did you get on stage? Because you haven't recorded before, and you've now recorded the album at this stage. Music was something that you kept on the back burner. Did you write songs throughout your other career, as it were?
No. I found myself, I had been in the Navy for 5 years, which didn't allow much time for music. I then was lucky enough to inherit a very rundown farm in Oxfordshire, and I spent 20 years renovating that farm. And it was only thanks to this wonderful lady called Betty Bleakley, who lived next door, and she gave singing lessons. And one day, going past, the window was open, and I heard this wonderful soprano voice coming out. And I said, Betty, would you ever consider teaching me? And I think my message to listeners is it's never too late. I was then 38 years old. I hadn't really sung since school. In school, I had sung in the choir. I was head of the choir, but I was always very fearful of singing a solo. My greatest fear in life, I was quite happy driving warships around and getting up and making speeches, but I never dared to sing a solo. And that was my greatest fear. And Betty said, look, if I'm teaching you, you must sing in my monthly student concerts around Oxfordshire. And I tried to get out of it. I was so frightened that first concert, I felt my knees knocking together. And sure enough, after 2 or 3 months, 2 or 3 concerts, I suddenly realized, my God, I'm beginning to enjoy this. So my message is, face your fears. Whatever you fear most, try and face it and shoot the gremlin. And it's never too late at 38 to start following your dream. And certainly that applies whatever age.
Shoot the gremlin. I quite like that one, and I must remember that. Put that in my armoury. Well, so the idea of actually putting an album together, when did you start sort of self-penning the tracks? And you got quite a few people on to help you as well. There's a military wise choir on there as well?
Yeah, I've been really blessed with talented friends. And so singing on the album in Mary Jess, Miranda Helt, who has a wonderful soprano voice. She is the main singer at the Ritz Hotel in London, and she does a lot of concerts around the world. And Saskia Lewison, who is currently in St. Lucia and splits her time between St. Lucia and Barbados as a singer-songwriter. And, of course, the Chivner Military Ladies Choir, who, of course, have just enjoyed having a film made all about them.
Exactly. Yes, I heard the reviews with Kirsten Scott Thomas has been in there as well.
That's right.
So
that's right.
What about the actual process? So then, do you? I mean, you came up with is it lyrics first and then melody? Are you writing 4-part contrapuntal harmony? I mean, how did you come up with the songs? 13 songs, I believe.
Yeah. Well, I think I would liken it to anyone who's a parent listening will know what it's like to have a sort of 4-year-old child sitting in the back of their car who suddenly says, Mummy, Daddy, I'm going to be sick. And there's no time to sort of pull over onto the hard shoulder. With me, it tends to come totally unannounced. And I can be crossing a road. I can be in the back of a black cab in London. My first song came to me when I was actually shaving. And I simply switched on my iPhone because I thought it was just going to be one line. I thought, oh, that's rather a nice line. And I then started singing the lyrics. And 5 minutes later, I switched off the iPhone and realized I had a song. So I sent it to Robert Amory and said, Robert, whose song is this? And Robert said, Jamie, this is your song. It's nobody else's. And what's more, when you've done 10, we'll do an album. And, of course, I said, Robert, you get me totally wrong. I'm a one-song wonder. I've no idea where it came from. And that is it. So we had a little bet. And I'm afraid, Charles, that it's me buying the drinks.
Oh, no. Awful. What was the process? How was the process then? How long did it take you to record the album? And where did you record the album? I mean, was it the studios in London? Did you record it at home? I mean, because we can do wonderful things with technology these days, Jamie. Where did you actually sit down and finally record this album?
Well, I guess it took me about 1.25 years to write most of the songs. And we did it by collaborating. It's the first time I've collaborated on songs. And let me say an interesting thing. When you collaborate with 2 other people, it's not 3 times better. I think I was never particularly good at maths, but I do remember cubes to the power of 3. And I would liken collaboration to that. It ends up being so much better. because you go off in unexpected directions. But you do have to trust each other when you collaborate. And with Mary Jess and Saskia and the pianist John Butler, John Bailey, Robert Amory, and Rhea Drakes, we seem to collaborate extremely well. And on one occasion, we were in Barbados, and we had 2 hours to collaborate. And I simply couldn't believe it. We came up in that 2-hour period in the gym of the hotel where I was staying. That was the only soundproof room.
Right.
And we came up with 9 new songs in 2 hours, and 6 of them are on the album.
That's quite remarkable when you think about it, because most people would come up with 6 new songs in the bar at the hotel, but you've come up with 6 new songs in the gym at the hotel.
Yes, we did get some strange looks.
I'm gonna have to cut you a little bit short because I've got another interview lined up. But Jamie, if people want to find more information about yourself, where do they go to? And what do you help? You know, what do you think? Is there a tour coming up? I mean, can we look forward to seeing you on the road as such?
Well, very much hope so. And my son is studying in Madrid. And so he and I plan a visit to Barcelona and Madrid, and I'd love to do something there. In London, we're planning a performance at the new Mount View Theatre, which is the newest theatre in London, given by Cameron Mackintosh, for all the musical theatre students that study there. And if people want to know more, the best thing, Giles, that I can suggest is that they go to jamie-lonsdale.com, and there they can find their way in to listening to a lot of my songs.
Wonderful. Well, I wish you the best of luck with that, and hopefully when this is all past, we can all get together and enjoy perhaps one of your concerts in Madrid. The album is called Footprints. It's by Jamie Lonsdale. I'm going to play out a little track with featuring Saskia, which is Time. Jamie Lonsdale, thank you so much for your time today.
And thank you so much, Giles.
I saw the for thee.